wanted to take a few minutes and say thank you for helping to pray and really financially support this amazing trip to Nigeria. I just returned from just earlier this week, a few days ago. Still just getting over a little bit of the travel time change and all of that, but I really want to express my gratitude and really help you understand the significance of what happened on this trip. And I thought the best way to do that was through video. So I'm going to take you on a real quick excursion to Nigeria, show you what my week was like there, and let you feel a little bit of the sense of this Krios moment that is happening in Nigeria. So I landed there, and after a couple days of travel, I find out when I got there at 4 in the morning that I would be speaking later on that day. And but I went to hear the pastor speak, Pastor Paul Eneche, at the conference that was going on there at 11 in the morning, and then I spoke later that afternoon. Just to set the stage, Nigeria has been in the middle of an amazing revival for the last 30 years. It's been from about 20% to now about 52% of the country is Christian in a country of 205 million people. So just imagine the tens of thousands more churches, the ministers, tens of millions more believers, and so it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And in fact, it reminds me a lot of what happened in the Korean revival in the 1970s, 1980s, where they went from 2% Christian to 33% Christian in a Buddhist country in one generation. However, you may have heard that they lost it. Right now, the young generation, it's 1.7% Christian. It went from 2% to 33% and then gone again in just one generation to 1.7%. So in my previous trips to Nigeria, understanding this revival, I thought how important it is to make sure that this revival doesn't go away in just a generation. People have been praying for it for years. And so, I mean, it's incredible. One of the denominations, the RCCG, they have a yearly conference where 3 million people gather. You can see the crowd there behind me. I actually got to go to one of their gatherings. It's just amazing. One of the other leaders there, Bishop Odeyepo, I visited his church. It seats 50,000. He says, I fill it 8 times every weekend. That's a lot of people. However, it became apparent in talking to some of the different leaders that they're not reaching the next generation, the younger generation, with the revival. And so in talking with Bishop Odeyepo a couple years ago, he says we need to make sure this does not happen, the same thing that happened in Korea, it does not happen in Nigeria. So fast forward, one of the relationships I made while there before was Pastor Paul Eneche. In fact, he's actually a medical doctor. We call him Dr. Paul. And his wife, Dr. Becky, is also a medical doctor, and they started this church some 20 years ago now. And it's in Abuja, Nigeria. And I visited him before when he was building the big building that they're in right now. They were in a smaller building where they were having like 7 services a day and on a Sunday, and then many, many breakout rooms. And so now this large facility that they have seats 100,000 people, and they have services 6 a.m., 8 a.m., and 10 a.m. every single week. And so in dialogue with Dr. Eneche over the last couple of years, and talking about the revival that happened in South Korea, and making sure it doesn't end in Nigeria, his heart was really moved. Like, we need to make sure, just like Bishop Odeyepo said, we do not lose the next generation. So he invited me over in the midst of this thriving, amazing church to train his staff and 100 other pastors that are falling under the umbrella of his ministry that all came together to train his staff about some of the things I learned with my doctoral studies, the exponential churches around the world that are thriving by reaching and discipling the next generation. And instead of just kind of using models from America that really haven't worked in America and we've lost several generations, let's look at some models of churches that actually are working. So when I got there, of course it's overwhelming. He meets in this place called the Glory Dome. You can see a picture of it there. And it's overwhelming to walk inside where it seats 100,000 people. And it wasn't full every service, but even a half full service is a lot of people. On Easter Sunday, I was there. I was supposed to be there just originally like 3 days. As soon as I got there for one day, he says, could you please extend for a couple more days? So I stayed there through Easter and went to all 3 services. So really, I was in church from 6 a.m. to about 12:30, 6.5 hours of church on Sunday. It was just beautiful on Easter Sunday. So many people coming to know the Lord, and there's a lot of miracles that happen there. In fact, you can see this picture of a girl that sat next to me. Literally, after she had gotten healed, her eyes had gotten healed. She was blind and she could see. There's another young boy that his mother came up and testified. He had been healed about 2 years before with his leg situation. They showed the video of how he could barely walk, and now 2 years later, he's thriving and he's running. You can see him with the pastor running around there. And the thing about Dr. Paul is he really takes time with each person he prays for, treats them with respect and with kindness, and really allows the whole rest of the crowd to really peer into this miracle that has just happened or about to happen and that kind of thing. And you can see the people in Nigeria, they love to rejoice, they love to celebrate and dance. Even Pastor Dr. Paul dances and celebrates, when they're worshiping the Lord. And he actually plays the saxophone as well, and the electronic sax. There's a number of very moving moments where he's playing and the crowd singing along. Just beautiful. And so he had me speak for the youth conference since I was there, and I've done that a few times, and minister to the young people. But then with these 500 leaders, 400 from his church, 100 from other churches, several times throughout the week, teaching and training them this whole new model. And what does it mean to reach and disciple those most likely to come to Christ in Abuja, in Nigeria, with all the different churches represented there? And it was just really, really a beautiful thing, just in terms of so many leaders saying, we find that we have hope. One pastor said, I really never knew what it meant to disciple people before, and we talked about what does it mean, what is the definition of disciple, what are some tools to reach and disciple the younger generation, wherever you're at. To get specific, we talked about what would it take to fill this entire arena, kind of stadium church full of young people. Just imagine this amazing facility filled with young people. Imagine the front altar area filled with young people giving their life to Christ. We did a little research, found out there's about 411,000 young people right there in Abuja, about 42 million in all of Nigeria. You can fill buildings, but the question is, are you filling them with the people most likely to come to Christ? So we talked about strategies to do that, and it's going to happen. I promise you, it will happen. Number 2, we talked about once they're there and they come to Christ, how do you build them into disciples and followers? We talked about a scope and a sequence for their growth in Christ when they're 13 and 14 and 15. We shared with them some of our tools like this first trimester pathway to freedom that we've developed with so many other trimesters, and they might use those or might develop their own. But the point is, we need to reach and disciple very systemically in small groups. We talked about what if they came for one service, and in that first service they were all in small groups, and the second service was their own service, a youth-oriented Sunday morning. And anyway, so it's very specific in terms of plan and strategy, how to reach and disciple those most likely to come to Christ. I can tell you that, I've been to some 60, 70 different countries. By far, the most strategic trip to any nation I have ever taken. It's sort of this Kairos moment where it's sort of one of those moments where if some action is taken right now, a catastrophe could be avoided. And so it was humbling, honestly, to have Dr. Eneche invite me to come and to train his staff. He was there at the sessions and he wanted to learn. In fact, you can see one of the final sessions here where we're all there. We felt like it was sort of a historic moment because it would be really easy for him to celebrate. He's got this massive building, massive crowds. In addition to that, he does crusades all over Nigeria and other countries. I mean, he's doing all kinds of things, but in the midst of all this outward success, he cares about the young generation. He cares about sustained, sort of the Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, passing your faith from generation to generation. He cares about that and wanted to, train his staff on what is the different paradigm. And so he has said several times in front of the crowd, Ron will be coming back to Nigeria again and again and again. And so I was so blessed to end up getting a visa that's a 2-year multi-entry visa, so I can go back, many times. And so we're talking about what that looks like right now. And so thank you for praying Thank you for investing. Thank you for caring and investing in this vision to help the younger generation all over the world. It really means a lot. I will tell you that I feel like we in America have a lot to learn from Nigeria. I can tell you we can learn humility for sure. Think about this pastor of this massive church, but saying we need to learn. And I found that with Bishop Oyedepo, Bishop Adeboye, who leads that big denomination where 3 million come each year just for the conference. So humble, unbelievable, amazing humility. And we have a lot that we can learn from them in terms of humility. I think we could learn a lot in the American church in terms of joy, that these people rejoice. They have been set free and they're so excited, and you can see that in their rejoicing. And I think also in terms of sacrifice and commitment, that 6 a.m. service, tens of thousands of people are there, and I'm not sure many people would come if we had a 6 a.m. service in America. And it was very humbling to be there, kind of learning as a student of the kind of Christianity that they embody and what we can, absorb and learn from them as followers of Christ and as leaders. And so, anyways, can I once again thank you so much for kind of going on this journey with me. And we ended up coming back. We left Easter night and got back a couple days later with all the planes and time change and all that. But anyways, we are looking forward to continuing to engage in Nigeria with as they continue to grow. We're praying about raising up 10,000 churches there that would have this exponential model where they're all focused on the next generation. And so thank you so much for investing in that. Other nations have found out about it. I've already got a couple other invitations from other nations that want to invite 100 or more churches together to get their leaders trained as well. So thank God, and thank you for being on this journey with us as we take the seeds of Exponential, not my ideas, just ideas I noticed from churches all around the world, put into these master classes, and now churches are taking them online, and when I can, I'm going in person to train them. So thank you so very much, and let's rejoice together, because these guys in Nigeria are on a pathway to Exponential, and you're a part of that, making that happen. Thank you very much. God bless.